Who says you can't? You do. Part 8. Quality-driven success. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Too many people have become misled by the concept of achievement and the word success. We have proved many times throughout history that the view of success that so many people take on board is a myth. It was February 2010 when a close friend rang me up to tell me that famous fashion designer Alexander McQueen had hanged himself in his apartment. But he had all this money and all this fame, so why would he commit suicide? He is just one of many great achievers who have taken their life. Edwin Armstrong, inventor of FM radio. In 1954, Pierre Bérégovoy, former French Prime Minister, in 1993. Kurt Cobain, singer-songwriter and Nirvana co-founder, in 1994. And Robin Williams, actor and comedian, in 2014, all ended their own lives. The list goes on, not to mention how many top actors, athletes, and artists suffer from drug abuse and emotional torment. On the other hand, there are many who have it all in life: fulfillment and great achievements. What's the difference between the two? Some searched for a feeling of success only through their achievements. The others acknowledge that success is in who they are and how they live their life, not in what they have. The truth is, we can continue to achieve in our life and still be unfulfilled. You might want to be successful in raising a child, in fitness, in your finances, in your relationships with others, in one particular area of your life, or in all of them. I just want you to understand that success does not exist in anything outside of you, and should never be looked at as a thing you must chase. Success does not lie in a Ferrari, a mansion, or any of the achievements mentioned above. Just like any purchase or singular desire you have wanted in your life, the feeling doesn't last. All people who base their definition of success on external desires eventually ask themselves, is that it? What now? I know that's happened to you in the past with something, and you should understand that it will never change. It may have been the new watch, the handbag, the vacation, or the new car. Regardless of what it was, there came a time when you were once again at a standstill. You need depth and meaning in your life. True success is to discover the enormous power you have within, who you are, and the attitude you take out to life every day. Once you have grasped this, everything else will flow. Success must come well before obtaining those external wants. Once you attain real success first and begin to live a great life, the rest becomes the cherries on top of a beautifully made cake. If the cherries are taken away for whatever reason, it won't really make much difference, because the cake is already complete. It's extremely important to realize that it's success that actually gets what you want, not the other way around. When one isn't at peace, nothing makes sense. People have based success on money for many years. In recent times, success has taken on a whole new meaning. As more people are striving to be genuinely successful and focusing on abundance, surrounded by so much external pressure and demand by fast-moving societies, we are now striving for quality success. This is a balance between an inner peace and the constant self-growth that leads to achievement in all areas of life. Obviously, the degree of achievement is based on an individual's particular wants. Time doesn't stand still, so we always aspire to grow to the next level in our lives. Anchoring our success to important qualities will prevent going around in circles, just waiting to achieve fulfillment. Don't be mistaken, just because someone is a great achiever doesn't mean they are successful. In essence, success equals fulfillment, that deep understanding of ourselves. We all seek different dreams, but everyone strives for a balance. This is why I have worked to discover and find the qualities that must drive success. QDS. QDS is the process of eliminating negativity from within and hence from your surroundings right now, so you are able to attract and create more intelligently. If we allow the term success to drive the quality of our life, then we may become misled along the way and continue to work against what will really fulfill us. Never let it be the notion of success that enhances the quality of your life. Rather, let it be the qualities of your life that enhance success. It's like trying to build a state-of-the-art house on a poor foundation. It will never be stable, but, more important, it will never be state-of-the-art. Those qualities are the great foundation. When challenges arise on your journey, your strong foundation will prove that you can resist the pressure. I used these qualities to attract the most marvelous experiences, discover hidden knowledge, strengthen persistence, and achieve at a greater level. This stuff is powerful. What's great about these qualities is that all of us have them now, accessible and ready to use. Don't be someone who blindly walks around life believing they have to get patience, love, strength, or the truth. The sudden reality is that you have all the qualities you have been searching for. They have always been within you. Whether you choose to use them or not is up to you. A coward is incapable of exhibiting love. It is the prerogative of the brave. They say, love comes in many forms. They also say that love can drive us crazy. Is it really love that does those things, or are we tarnishing the reputation of the divine emotion? Are we undermining love and giving it unnecessary associations? I believe love comes in only one form, In the purest state, I had someone refer to love as coming in many different forms, when they told a story of a man who became so obsessed with his ex-girlfriend that he stalked her for 3 years. Love doesn't drive these actions. Jealousy, greed, hatred, or vengefulness should never be mistaken for the almighty love, for true love opposes such things. Love doesn't drive us crazy, our inner demons battling it do. Love is the primary quality that can set us free from that feeling of emptiness. I am speaking of a love so pure, it is not restricted by what we see with our eyes, but is the feeling we attain from within, like the love some have for their mother, pet, child, husband, or life itself. That love is far beyond our eyes. Your dog may be the ugliest mutt to some, but the love you have for it is not restricted by its outward appearance. True love asks nothing but to fulfill itself. You alone can fulfill yourself with that love that lies eagerly within you. It will appear, but we ignore it on so many occasions. Love is the true guide in life, and the only one to be served. If we do things out of pure intent, love will surely answer. Through love your dreams become real, and everyday life will show itself in the most beautiful way it knows how. It takes the cloth from your eyes and allows you to see the world in its truest essence. You align yourself with the world and everything in it, which is the basis of your dreams coming true. One man who had much controversy surrounding him, but who I believe demonstrated much love that went unnoticed, was Michael Jackson. A particular statement of his that I thought was truth, in essence, was, "Let us dream of tomorrow, where we can truly love from the soul, and know love as the ultimate truth at the heart of all creation." Regardless of perception or judgment of this man, that saying is undeniably true. The great know that greatness is love. Once you experience true love in your heart, you dedicate your life to showing the earth what you have discovered. All the important aspects for achieving fulfillment stem from love. My plan is to cover some of the main ones that have a direct impact on obtaining that goal. Love is like the seed of a plant. The seed is already planted within us. It is then fed by water and sunlight, which are your experiences and time to act. The two must correlate. In order to be fed, the seed must be ready for it, correct? The root then shoots out to the world and is exposed. It begins to blossom with all the effects of love, inner peace, patience, respect, and appreciation, to name a few. Its roots grow far and wide until they eventually intertwine with other plants. We all have that seed, and it's just waiting to be fed. Love by its very nature creates, and we are no exception. All men in history who have accomplished great things have used love as their driving force. It's the true essence of your being that will make you go well past your previous limitations and achieve things impossible. When love takes over your life, buckle up and get ready for a ride beyond your wildest dreams. This love is so great that it is reflected in everyone and everything. With love, your intention is to be the best person you know how and treat everyone and everything with that same respect and love. That's the secret to fulfillment. Life without love is like a tree without blossoms or fruit. Greatness also stems from love. In fact, everyone is great right now, but most are unaware of it. Loving yourself is an essential part of success. You don't love yourself, you can never trust yourself to gain success. Would you really trust someone with your life that you didn't love? Well, if you don't love yourself deep down and embrace it on a daily basis, how can you trust yourself to get what you want? There is a difference between loving who you really are and loving who you pretend to be. Loving yourself is not about putting yourself above anyone else. Rather, a true self-love equalizes you with the world. You are able to understand yourself more, and it allows you to better understand others. We have been conditioned to believe that loving ourselves is egotistical, but it's not loving ourselves that actually displays ego, because we edge God out of our life. If you truly love yourself, you won't allow yourself to go against your claimed morals. You would acknowledge that others' growth is your growth and vice versa. In saying this, you can't really help anyone until you help yourself first. While helping yourself, you will be helping them. Contributing your true self is far greater than materialistic help. We must not judge people on their appearance, religious status, or environment. We are all human and have an equally important role to play. If you commit to those limiting actions, you are only tarnishing a relationship with yourself, and it will never be the means to gain true success. When you treat others with respect, the respect you have for yourself grows. It's like when we meet someone who backs the same sports team or has the same cultural background. There is an instant bond and respect. We gain a sense of belonging from that person and will immediately get into conversation, maybe share a laugh or two. There's a feeling of camaraderie that seems to arise. Imagine considering mankind as being on the same team. Picture the sense of belonging now and the rapport you will be able to build with others. Picture the difference in attitude and your approach toward those you come into contact with. Everything you do to others, you are equally doing to yourself. That is the law of life. No one escapes. My way of dealing with others is quite simple. I always take notice that they have the potential to love. We're created by love, and I am convinced they are great people deep down. I choose not to see what others see, and it greatly affects my experience with people. By doing this, they will feel your genuine approach and lack of ego. This method unconsciously forces others to react in a similar way. That's truly acting out of love, and it is reflected in everything and everyone around you. We are in this together. It's called networking. But remember, no one wants to help those who aren't willing to help themselves. So do things out of love and good intentions. And there will always be people willing to lend a hand. We is greater than me, but the change must start with you. Look in the mirror and tell yourself how much you love the person you see, regardless of what you have been through. It might seem stupid at the beginning, but that's only because social norms and other unfulfilled people have influenced your beliefs. Look at what this person in the mirror has been through, yet they are still here to face the music. That's something to love and respect, because it shows strength and the determination to never give up. If you want to give love and be loved, you must love yourself first. When you feel love on the inside, you will see love on the outside. You are loved. It is better to start loving yourself than to wait around for someone else to do it for you. Eventually, you will come to understand that love heals everything, and love is all there is. Freedom begins with the power that comes from understanding that you control your life. It is the absolute knowledge that you choose the way you feel, and hence the way you live is structured by freedom of choice. We have been socially programmed to believe that our freedom is based on outside events. In other words, we must wait for things to make us happy on the outside to complete our inner self. In order to experience true freedom in your life, you must realize that your perception of the outside world is nothing more than a mere reflection of the internal self that you create. How you feel is what you see. The inside must change first, in order for the outside to be seen in happiness. At a deeper level, when we change our perception of the outside, it really does change what happens on the outside. We choose to create our physical, mental, and verbal actions every day. Without realizing it, we make them stronger by repetition. Mostly we are oblivious to the fact that we are creating our lives under such slavery. Our freedom is not dependent on a job, a vacation, or any other person. We may change a job or decide to go on a trip, but essentially it is the freedom that was discovered first that allows us to do those things. Attaining freedom by choice is the only way to discover fulfillment. If you are looking for the material world to free you, then you will never find it. Eternal freedom stems from pure love of oneself, a love so strong that it trusts you to feed your intuition, all the while projecting that same love out to the world. Cold and wet nights seem to be appreciated just as much as warm ones. You choose to be free, or not, every day. What is it about love that makes it so fascinating? Could it be its ability to transcend the earthly concept of time, its power to defy all odds, its infiniteness, its courage to conquer all things, its dwelling in all creation, or just its very existence? Since love, and not understanding, is the starting point for the journey of self-truth, all who wish to walk it can take the first step. As I was cleaning the mirrors at a boxing gym I once worked at, something dawned on me. Looking at them from a distance, I wasn't able to tell whether they were dirty or not. The closer I looked, the more unclean they became. The only way I was able to clean the mirror was by taking a closer look. With my reflection staring back at me, I wondered how I could use this principle in my life. We don't notice our truth or the uncleanliness we surround ourselves with unless we decide to take a closer look. From a distance, we can be fooled into thinking that we are following our heart and need no improvement. But dare to take a closer look, and the real answers begin to appear. In order to be truly happy and obtain what we desire, we must be honest with ourselves. Well, that's the truth right there, isn't it? When a terrorist kills someone who he knows is loved by somebody else, it's for greed, ill power, or selfish satisfaction. It's not the truth. He is feeding his lies and he knows it. He will never find fulfillment during such an act, because he is separating himself from his true essence. Humans have a fundamental tendency toward truth. Call it common sense, conscious ability, reasoning, it doesn't matter. We are all able to distinguish between a loving act and a hateful one. We are built with love, that ultimate truth, and love will question every decision we make. Lying to yourself doesn't hide the truth, so you can bet your life that it will always come and display itself. We don't have a very high tolerance for psychological dissonance of any kind. Self-deception can have terrible consequences for a person's experience of their conscience. Even in a person with a not-so-advanced conscience, a man may imagine things that are false, but he can only understand things that are true, for if the things be false, the apprehension of them is not understanding. The greatest indication of knowing our truth is listening to that deep voice within that tells us what is correct. It's that same voice that tells you one way will make you ultimately happy, while the other path will only bring you short-term satisfaction. Some call it the heart, and science is proving now more than ever the connection between emotional and physiological changes in our body. Dr. Deepak Chopra has a deep understanding of how these two correlate and the vast impact they have on our lives. I never realized how crucial the saying "follow your heart" is in shaping our destiny. The problem is, we rarely listen to it. If they don't teach you this, you are sadly being lied to. It's one thing being able to distinguish between your truth and your lie, yet it's vastly different when it's time to act. Mastering this next quality is the key to experiencing a joy most people only dream about having. When we feed something, it grows. For some, fear, sadness, lack of direction, and unhappiness have become daily indulgences. Every time you make a decision or commit an act that is against your truth, love, kindness, happiness, giving, patience, it sabotages the relationship you have with yourself. Is it any wonder that so many people don't know what they want or which direction to take? On the other hand, when you feed your truth, it will grow to a size you never imagined possible. In your truth also lies fulfillment. When we begin to feed that truth, our happiness gets fuller, and in it is found inner peace. There is no limit to the growth. It's a never-ending supply, because you are supplying it. You are the hand that feeds you, so you can always rely on yourself. However, if your hand is always reaching out to be fed by an external supply, that growth can stop at any time. Those people, money, and situations may not last forever. The more you grow, the more your supply of truth grows. I'm so glad I trained myself to feed my truth, because it's definitely the reason you are reading this. If I hadn't, I would never have been able to discover what I'm great at. I've spoken to excellent achievers, but more important, those who are successful, and they all have the same thing to say. They began listening to and acting on that voice deep inside, not only for major decisions that had to be made, but also for the smallest acts of everyday life. There is a distinguishable truth in every moment, opportunity, or experience. If you are willing to reason with yourself, you will be able to clearly identify it, and more important, act on it. We must really start listening to that intelligent and wise voice within. If brushing it off has become a way of life, you must change immediately. Here is one example of how I conditioned myself to feed my truth. We all know what a garbage bin is used for, so we are able to distinguish that the bin is there to serve that purpose and throw garbage in. Common sense reminded me of this my whole life, but I chose to ignore it on so many occasions. The difference now was that I began to amplify my truth, common sense, which clearly told me to throw my trash in the bin. Throwing something on the ground when I knew there was a better alternative was disrespectful. And I guess if we want respect, we must give respect. By taking my truth into consideration and actually listening to it, I was able to see the important role it played in my own life. This change in action taught me a few other things. One of them was that I was able to commit to doing something that I actually wanted to do. I fed that deep voice, and it instantly created new emotions. Follow your heart, but be quiet for a while first. Ask questions, then feel the answer. Learn to trust your heart. This simple change in behavior will train you to have patience. When something like a garbage bin isn't accessible right away, you don't do something that is against what you really know you should do, just to obtain some short-term satisfaction. Can you see how this could benefit us in reaching our greater visions? It might seem very insignificant, but this is what allows you to acknowledge that you have the power to think, act, and create for yourself. It allows you to create your own happiness, which in turn helps you to respect more of your decisions. More important, it proves that the feeling of fulfillment does exist. Even when you make a decision that is extremely hard at the time, you will never regret it if it's aligned with your truth. When you believe something enough, you live by it. We always force ourselves to feel down when we do something that is against our truth. But how often do we recognize or acknowledge when we do something great? To condition a great and rewarding feeling when acting on that conscious voice is the ultimate advantage in life. Remember, it starts with the small things, because that's what gets the ball rolling. If you don't have the energy to do the small tasks, how are you ever going to reach your peak in performance or get the most out of life? When you make the decision to feed your truth, don't dither about it. Make sure you create the energy if you must, and do it with great intention. A smoker is a perfect example. When I ask people about their smoking habit, they say, "But I want to smoke." Nearly every time I ask if they were in an ideal world and could be free from smoking, would they? I get the answer, yes, of course. The truth is the voice that tells them to give it up, and they know it. That voice is always speaking, and you know when it does. Are you going to mess up along the way? Of course, you're human. In life we may not make all the best decisions, but we are not meant to. If we did, we would never know growth. The seeker after truth should be humbler than the dust. Only then, and not till then, will he have a glimpse of truth. In the march toward truth, anger, selfishness, hatred, etc., naturally give way, for otherwise truth would be impossible to attain. Mahatma Gandhi, a social term for acting on our truth, is integrity. In Western ethics, integrity is regarded as the quality of having an intuitive sense of honesty and truthfulness in regard to the motivations for one's actions, and it can be regarded as the opposite of hypocrisy. The word integrity stems from the Latin adjective integer, whole, complete. In this context, Integrity is the inner sense of wholeness deriving from qualities such as honesty and consistency of character. As such, one may judge that others have integrity to the extent that one judges whether they behave according to the values, beliefs, and principles they claim to hold. Just really listen to yourself, then act on it. That's all it takes. You can spend your whole life hanging on to what could or should have been, but you can't go back in time. When we read a novel, we turn the pages forward, not backward. If we did read it backward, the story would make no sense and confuse us. Having regrets is taking away the essence of life. Because at the moment when the decision was made, it was exactly what you wanted. The decision was made for a particular reason. The great thing is that you may now see a different path of greater benefit. Using this knowledge for new experiences is the advantage successful people have over the masses. It is absolutely crucial to obtain knowledge from our experiences, but we should never be remorseful over past decisions that helped shape our destiny. Residing in regret is like being stuck in a dark hole, where your mind is telling you there is no hope or means to get out. If you switch on a light bulb, but cover it with a thick piece of material that makes the room dark, does that mean there is no light? No, the light is still there, it's just covered. We have the ability to take off that material at any time. Just think of that material as being your regretful mindset and the illusions that come along with it. Previous experiences that so many people allow to control their life are nothing more than a mental image. It is a story that we replay over and over again, tormenting ourselves, but it is gone in reality. Take a look around. You're not physically in that moment that hurt you anymore, are you? Your memory of that experience is a figment of your imagination, so it means you have the power to change the way you think about it. It is now only in your mind. It is never the experience that is making you feel like you can't move on. It's your perception of the experience. No experience needs to be looked at in one set way. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Max Planck, I can't think of anything worse than living in regret. It's true that we shaped our life around those decisions, but in the same sense, we have the ability to shape our life around our current decisions. As long as you regret the decisions you have already made, the ones you must make will be sabotaged. In the process of eliminating regret, we must use forgiveness to conquer it. Forgiveness is one of the greatest gifts we have. It grants us permission to break free of burdens that restrict us from being at peace with ourselves. Resentment and remorse leave no room for growth. If we do not forgive ourselves, we will remain stagnant and hateful, and that will definitely affect what we create next in our lives. We must be at peace with our past in order to gain a full view of opportunities. To stop being restricted by a narrow mind, and to allow for different decisions to be made in the future. There is no future in the past. Accept the pain, cherish the joys, resolve the regrets. Then can come the best of benedictions. If I had my life to live over again, I'd do it all the same. It is essential that we accept our previous actions and those of others as an opportunity for growth. You may say sorry to someone, but don't expect their acceptance. Such an expectation could lead to constant disappointment. You must accept that you did your part. Apologizing to someone is not admitting that you did something wrong. It's allowing the other person, and yourself, to acknowledge that you now see a better way. The most important thing you can do is forgive yourself. This will allow you to move on and make progress toward visions that you never trusted yourself to entertain. And if you think about a time when you have forgiven someone, wasn't it the case that you only truly came to forgive them once you forgave yourself for being in that situation? What someone does to you cannot change, but how you see it can. So in order to forgive yourself and others, you must accept inwardly that it was your choice to be in that situation, to feel the way you did about it, to observe it the way you did, and to learn what you did from it. You can't grab the future if you are still holding on to the past. I once spoke to a woman who was raped as a young teen. The hatred she felt toward her attacker stopped her from excelling in life, especially in her relationships with other men. It wasn't until she found peace within herself that she was able to forgive him. She explained to me that through such an evil act, she found liberation within herself and began viewing the experience as one she could gain self-knowledge and strength from. Forgiveness is letting go of the hope that the past can be changed. Self-forgiveness allows us to rebuild the faith in ourselves and those around us. It helps us realize that we are free from emotional restrictions, so we can once again portray real love. Forgiveness is truly a courageous act and helps liberate the soul. Without forgiveness and acceptance of the past, we remain crippled and unable to run. Failing to forgive will prevent us from ever gaining true happiness or fully respecting the great qualities that reign within us. 2 major keys to real success. The deeper your scars, the more room there is to fill them up with love. Don't hate your scars, appreciate their depth. Free your mind, body, and soul. Anyone who has created an extraordinary life will agree that patience is definitely at the top of the list. Without the constant use of this quality, it is impossible to create. If you follow a great achiever, someone who has a great relationship, or an individual who would be regarded as a wise mentor, you will see that patience is what keeps the fine line between sane and insane. It enhances the ability to clearly see what is around and make sense of a situation that we would otherwise get angry about or not properly assess. Without using this master quality, we will make irrational decisions that could have a detrimental effect on our life. In business, a lack of patience could influence us to make decisions that will adversely affect our goals. In relationships, it may cause unnecessary difficulties such as stress, lack of trust, or paranoia, which would then also result in the deterioration of our health. Impatience will attack every part of your life, especially when in pursuit of your visions. Some people get confused by the whole concept and think that taking action every day toward a vision is being impatient. I would just like to clear up that it's precisely the opposite. Lack of patience especially takes its toll when on the road to achievement. Most people go for the quick dollar when impatience starts to take over, or settle for less than the bigger picture they have set up. You will notice that most really successful people struggled drastically at the beginning of their journey, yet they refused to stop pursuing their goal. It wasn't about wealth right away. It was about getting themselves right first. We must build that inner strength initially. I can't tell you how many people have told me they attempted to do something they love, but said after a little while they went back to working a full-time job that they didn't enjoy, just for the short-term satisfaction of having income. They get that money but are even more unproductive with it because they aren't enjoying their life. A regular income can really benefit you, but not if it takes over your desired passion in life and is just an excuse to settle or give up. You will never be fulfilled that way. Some powerful achievers have had debts through the roof and been ejected from their houses because they couldn't pay the rent, but they never lost sight of their vision. That persistence always pays off. Stop comparing your journey with somebody else's. Not all flowers blossom at the same time. In my experience, and through speaking to many about this topic, I have discovered that impatience is the main factor in what we call quitting. What we want seems so far away that it appears easier to stay where we are and just settle. This important question must then follow. Is it really easier living a life that is less than what you know you deserve? We will find everything and anything to do besides what we need to do in order to get what we want. We will call multiple friends, think of 10 different movies to see, or go for another coffee. Anything to escape the fear that it's just too much to handle.
Patience is a quality that should be put into practice every day with every situation. Every time I get impatient, I think back to the life I don't want to submit to, and it nearly makes me physically sick. I then visualize my dream life, and I am instantly powered with motivation to push forward. He that can have patience can have as he will. I determined that no matter what life threw at me, I was going to do what I had to do. Training yourself to be patient is a great test of strength and something that needs to be done if you want success in any area. It starts in traffic, at work, and in your relationships with others. Don't forget, even holding on to trash until you find a bin is a great strategy. We must make changes that will empower our life with patience, even in the simplest of scenarios. Change really can happen in an instant. We all know there have been some defining moments in our lives that have shaped our destiny. Regardless of being a benefit or not, the decision to change can happen quickly and the results are acutely evident. At times we are not satisfied until we see the end result of our decision. The same goes for when we make the decision to practice patience in our daily lives. In business, for example, most will neglect to feed the quality of patience. They will wait to base their happiness on the end result. For example, the next monthly profits. What they don't realize is that it's a buildup of little decisions that cause the end result they desire to become reality. Look at nature, from the growth of a plant, which is the result of a seed, to a collision of clouds, which results in a storm. There is a buildup and many small things that must take place before a massive result is seen. The calm before the storm. If we don't plant the seed and water it, how will it ever blossom? In one moment, you can decide that you want change and gather the inner motivation to do it. It is motivation in that instant that gets you started, but it is routine that makes it habit. Think back to the first time you went to the gym, for instance, because there was too much pain associated with not doing it and more pleasure in doing it. Something switched inside of you. As time went on, you kept up the routine and it became a way of life. So, yes, change does happen in an instant, but true results come from repetition, and that takes patience. Have patience with all things, but chiefly have patience with yourself. To master patience is to also have faith in yourself and your Creator. I used to fall back on the idea that I know why this has all happened. That was my favorite saying to myself, reassurance of the greater plan I set for my life. You must build the belief that you know, as surely as you know the back of your hand, that it's going to happen. We have all visualized the great life we aspire to, although impatience plays a major role in stopping us from ever experiencing it. Self-control and remaining strong in the face of impatience are the keys to winning. You are still going to get angry or impatient at times, but battle your hardest not to vent it. Letting out anger is like facing a strong gust of wind and spitting directly in it. You affect yourself the most. Use all the power you have and focus on making an internal shift. Fight it. Overpower your limiting thoughts, and you will win. When faced with a challenging situation, use it to practice the art of patience. Once mastered, it will help you beat the next one with a little more ease. Before you know it, patience will be your subconscious reaction, and impatience will quickly result in correcting yourself. Another great tool is to put things into perspective. If you're waiting in traffic, just sit back and think about all those who don't even have food to eat, let alone a car to drive, and you will soon realize that your complaints are very petty. To cut above the rest, you must also use situations like these to your advantage. I've had so many people tell me that they don't have time to themselves to think about bettering their lives, and then I always refer back to the stuck in traffic situation. I'm not sure about you, but I see a lot of time in the day when you can really think. Finding the balance between persistence and patience is the pinnacle when creating something great. This can only be achieved by constant practice. Without patience, you are likely to give up. We all have an amazing gift that was given to us. How many times have you had a gift wrapped up with your name on it, and you didn't open it? I'm guessing your answer will probably be never. Well, I have a rude awakening for some. The answer is every day. There is a God-given gift, all wrapped up by the hate, despair, fear, complaining, and other limitations we let consume our lives. We have the power to perceive things in a different light, and even more important, the power to change the way we act. Sadly, the vast majority of people believe that when they give, they are emptying themselves, or they are giving something up in the process. In order for them to feel significant, they unconsciously attempt to fill that gap with someone else's approval or praise. When it doesn't happen, they seem to be disappointed. In order to be happy in life, we must recognize that every time we give, we automatically receive. The feeling of giving is the gift. If you focus your energy on the great acts you commit to every day, you will experience fulfillment. Real success also thrives on the idea of giving. It helps you to create a stronger passion to not just follow achievement for yourself, but to better everyone around you. I could just imagine how lonely and unfulfilling life would be if I were to celebrate success on my own. That doesn't merely mean money, but keeping the great qualities you know you have all to yourself. It becomes contagious to those around you, because every soul is striving for that fulfillment. Before you know it, it will feel not like a process, but rather like a way of life. Then the universe will be happy to welcome you to the never-ending cycle of self-growth. Appreciation, contribution, and self-growth are the only ways to true fulfillment. To embrace any one of these, we are required to put down our body of ego. Don't be ashamed of having an ego. It's human nature. But some people feed theirs so much that it gets in the way of really getting the most out of life. Ego is a great indicator of whether someone is genuine or not. An ego is like a shield that protects us from feeling embarrassed and prevents us from displaying who we really are. We believe if we put it down, others might think we are weird, which would alienate us. Someone with a big ego is generally hiding much deeper issues, and they are the people who are unfulfilled. They wear a mask their whole life, and when they feel they are about to be exposed, they lash out and attack your actions, rarely looking at their own. They fear meeting the stranger underneath the mask. They are the same people who usually look at how much they can take rather than what they can give. They are commonly self-centered, their intentions are frequently ill, and their desires are far from contributing. The sad thing is that even though most people are aware of this fact, but they still display their ego. We must learn to direct our ego in a way that actually benefits the world and ourselves. Being human, I still find myself being caught up in ego at times. Yet my self-awareness pulls me back into line almost instantly. So if you think you are too cool for school, think again. No one escapes the classroom of life. Humbly embrace its knowledge or feel its punishment. Putting down our ego is crucial not just for lasting happiness, but also for achievement. Self-growth requires us to listen and obtain knowledge from people, which requires that our ego be put aside. Ego is the number one factor that prevents us from listening, with its attitude that we don't need help and we can do it on our own. I was out for coffee with a property investor one afternoon, and he told me a story that Sir Bob Geldof had shared at a seminar. Geldof was telling them about this chubby little kid who would always be hanging around and asking for advice. He later mentioned that he never knew that same kid would grow up to be Bono from U2. Another great story is that of Michael Dell, the creator of Dell Computers. He had his first job working in a Chinese restaurant for $2.30 an hour. He would go in early and humbled himself by listening to the wise owner speak about his passion and love for the business. Taking the advice of others and always being willing to take in new information is vital to success. Your ego must be down in order for you to listen to the advice your spirit gives you every day. If you have a stubborn mindset that is stuck in one position, you will never be fulfilled. Your spirit is by far your best teacher and guide, as it knows all the answers to your questions. That deep voice inside knows what's best and will bump you initially if something doesn't feel right. How many times has your gut feeling been right? How many times have you convinced yourself otherwise and been unhappy? It's usually our mind that gets in the way of listening to our spirit. The key to aligning them both is separating yourself from your ego. When you unify the power of your thoughts with that wise inner voice, your success is self-evident. If you still feel empty in your life, it is because you have yet to surrender your ego to humbleness. People will cross our path to help us grow in life, but it's our ego that stops us from noticing this and allows them to slip away. We don't like the way they look, we are judgmental, or we aren't willing to hear what we know is the truth. Being humble throughout your experiences is a true indicator of whether you are fulfilled or not. If you are not humble, you'd better start being so, or you will never find fulfillment, period. Confidence plays a major role in having an outstanding life, but make sure you find the line between confident and cocky. It's a thin line, but you will be aware of which one you are showing. Do not read on until tomorrow. The qualities we just went through are extremely important to your growth and success. I want you to take them with you for now. The next section is on a different topic, so until tomorrow, focus on the qualities that drive success.